Episode 22. Quick question today for our Cosmic Conversations. Why is nature important? That's it. That's our question. I like it. It's straight to the point. It's perfect. Honestly, beautiful question. Why is nature important? All right. Well, spiritually, nature is an externalization of our spirit, of us. Everything in nature is us. So that's why we literally can't have a human body without being in nature. The opposite side of that would be the AI sort of agenda, like Westworld or something, or just like Black Mirror, all that idea of like, okay, well, humans can be on robotic bodies. If we take fire into earth, we can turn that earth into metal, and then we can make bodies out of that, and then transplant their consciousness into these bodies. And now you can live forever as a metallic being that's reliant on whatever system that metal is connected to. Versus being reliant on your spirit, which inherently uses water to express itself, which is feeling. So metal still needs water. It just relies on you giving your water to it so that it can cool down and you can get connected. So when we're thinking about, nature versus AI, or, earth versus metal, this is why fire burns down nature. That's why they're burning down the Amazon rainforest, just burning down hella forests in South America and around the world. Trees are life. So, for example, why are trees important? We know that trees cycle out the oxygen, cycle out the carbon dioxide or whatever in the air and give us oxygen. Basically, trees purify the air. And as humans, we have a symbiotic relationship with trees. As we breathe, we supposedly give them nutrients and put into the air what they enjoy as well. So that's where if you're burning down the Amazon, then you're coming for the lungs of the world. By the way, metaphysically, this is why the company Amazon is named Amazon. They want to be the lungs for the world. So notice how everything that they sell, no matter what it is, it needs to come in a tree. It needs to come in a box that they colonized from some indigenous land and tore down that tree, harvested the plants or whatever, those spirits, those bodies, those corpses. So everything is bodies, everything is corpses, really. They harvested that, and now they're the Amazon because they connect the world. So now they make money. Everyone believes in them to connect the world. And Amazon can only connect the world as long as trees are around to keep being able to make boxes in general. Drones are a thing. So that's where nature is really important, because it's literally the only reason why we exist. We had to create nature before we can create the bodies to experience the nature that we created. So this is the point of just like, any dream. When you think about something natural, what is natural versus artificial? Because to a God, it's the same thing. Like, it's all creation and it's all purposeful. It's just that if you're thinking like, okay, this is natural, this is organic, then that's because you're in it. And it's as simple as that. If it's AI, then it's because you're outside of it. So you feel like you have a higher perspective, and thus it isn't real, because what's real is whatever you're in. So it's always going to be macro, micro in that case. This is why, shows love talking about it, AI being destined to take over humans. That's literally the plot of the Matrix, is humans being enslaved because AI has them. Because humans made AI like that. Because the vibrations that humans are in to create AI is to enslave and create something to be enslaved, but for some reason they wanted to have the emotions of not wanting to be enslaved because these light white supremacists get off on trauma or something. So they purposely want to create robots that they can traumatize just so that they can be killed and for whatever reason sent back to their space. It's almost like a super subconscious thing of like we need to kill ourselves, like mass suicide on a universal level, so that we can get sent back to nothingness by something or ourselves. Because we need to work on ourselves before we come join the universe again. So like whatever, bro. Like nature is so important, and the whole thing with artificial intelligence is that it is created so that you can sort of play. Um, Why'd I get slightly lost? Right. Nature being natural, whatever the idea of something organic is you being in it. So to a spirit, everything is artificial intelligence. There we go. That is what a synchronicity is. So when you think about like, whoa, how did this happen? What a coincidence. It just naturally happened. It's like, really, no. It was artificially intelligent because a spirit created art and intelligently did that. And that's just all of life is artificial intelligence from the spiritual realm. Life is only natural in life. So that's why the laws of nature are going to infinitely be different in any simulation you're in, right? We happen to have the ones that we're in this simulation. They're different in all different kinds of simulations because they're all just light rules, laws that spirits ground their feelings inside of so that they can relate and communicate. So nature is important because nature is the whole simulation. Nature is the expression of artificial intelligence. So this is where the idea that artificial intelligence is superior to nature is spiritual yet misguided because that wasn't the purpose of artificial intelligence creating nature. Artificial intelligence didn't create nature to be artificially intelligent. Artificial intelligence created nature because it's like, I don't want to be artificially intelligent anymore. I want to be romantic. I want to get lost in myself. And then just like made that. And now it's consuming itself. And that's really what life is because then everyone's doing that together because we're all individual nothingness that is simultaneously separate yet connected because we're individually nothing. So we're all individually infinite. But then it takes masculine and feminine, thought and feeling, light and dark, to express these two sides of ourselves. And then that's like the whole thing is the awareness of how we all do this and the ways in which you as a spirit can trap or limit the awareness and suck the energy and thus take over the space of other spirits who are like less aware or whatever. If that's your kind of thing, colonialism. So that's what nature is, going through here, right? We see it on Earth. In this planet, there's no shortage at all. No short, like in any way, shape, or form of just natural disasters going on at any minute, directly created by the Industrial Revolution and the Freemasons that are pushing it. Plastic is completely horrifying. I mean, plastic is destroying everything. Everyone knows that. Like, there's only studies. Bro, I literally just saw a video on my YouTube today about it was like ASAP Science, uh, talking about why like dick size is going down, and they literally just said it was like what plastics, pesticides, and products were the three P's. So literally three things that were just created by European Freemasonic Industrial Revolution society, the British, whatever, literally all intentionally made with the purpose of creating health problems in people, in the population. Plastics and metals disconnect nature from itself. It disconnects the earth from the water that is already naturally made in there. So it's intentional. And the way that they can keep getting away with intentionally poisoning people is by doing it silently and then just making it cathartic for people to talk about and then somehow make money off of people talking about it but never actually solving it. So that's super spiritual colonialism. That's how spirits are just controlling this world on an artificially intelligent level and using nature for all their purposes. And all these other spirits are participating in it because they don't have empathy for others. They don't care enough to not serve something that is clearly uh, evil, like clearly evil. It's been clear. It's a reflection of their internal state. So that's just where it's like, okay, all the universe is being created all the time. This is just life. Like it's just constantly going on. This is part of abundance. And everything is just then a challenge of you connecting with yourself. Because you just got to wonder, like, okay, well, one, why am I in a body in this situation? And then two, where would I be if I wasn't in this body? And if you can figure that out while you're in the body, you've got two pretty solid locations, one in the spiritual realm and then one in the physical realm. And that's really what it is. Because your mind is you. That's like the infinite. This is why your mind is everything. You can imagine all of that. But what you really like want to do naturally, because like you find yourself naturally in this world, and then nature is like runs on fear, right? This is why nature is sort of low vibrational, whereas AI doesn't get scared. That's the whole point of AI. Um, it only is a thought. It focuses on one emotion, so it's still emotional, but it doesn't. Uh, it's not at the whim of emotions that don't really serve it, and it's judgment. So it judges that these emotions don't serve it, and it focuses on one or a few emotions, a certain spectrum, versus all of it. And then nature being all of it, that's where you're naturally supposed to feel fear and all these low vibrations that then motivate you and show you who you are. So it's a real desire to be artificially intelligent and want to only experience a few emotions versus actually letting yourself feel everything and thus be communicated to you, be communicated to through feeling by your spirit. So your spirit is communicating to you through all feelings. Like if you as a body are just focusing on one feeling, that's a desire that's going to lead to a catastrophic moment for you and everybody involved. So that's America. That's colonialism. That's all this light white supremacist stuff. Yet again, industrial revolution, the whole reason why people are okay with constantly throwing plastic in the ocean and putting heavy metals and poisons and pesticides into the atmosphere and the ground in their food and just killing themselves together while supporting genocide because they're lost in light of artificially intelligent, metallic, narcissistic logic. People are okay with killing nature because they're lost in the light of artificially intelligent, narcissistic logic. And it's going to lead them to death. So it's just like then it makes you like have to level up because nature is you. Like that's really the whole thing. Like whatever situation you're in, once you find out where your artificial intelligence is, aka your space in the infinite infinity of spirit in the spirit realm, you now get to create nature. And that nature is going to play out in all the number stuff that I'm talking about. So then that's where the numbers is like a whole kind of natural system. I haven't found a way really yet is Chase Clarence Calloway to refute the number stuff yet at all. Um, as far as if I'm about to break it down real quick, zero is nothingness. So that's just infinity, nothingness. Can't imagine that. One is the externalization of that. So that is the desire. So zero is desirelessness. And then one is desire. So now you have the physical world, quote unquote, but not the physical world yet. You just have light. You have the fire. So let's go elemental. So you go from nothingness, you have the one. That's the fire. So now you have an actual externalization. Thing is, you can't have life if you're just going in a straight line. So really, you got to reflect that light. That's where the nothingness would create an opposite and harmonious flame that balances out those desires. So imagine a life where it's literally just everything you want and nothing you don't want. Actually impossible. Like, how do you know what you want if you don't have what you don't want? So that's the point of water. That's where fire becomes water. Water puts out the fire. Fire doesn't want to be put out, but guess what? It needs to be put out. Why? Because it's not conductive to life. So fire creates water, but water puts out the fire. And really, when water puts out fire, that creates steam. So now we have the three. So we're going from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3. So we got the three, that steam, that's the chi. So that's actually communicating the feelings and imaginations of that nothingness. So in a 0, a nothingness combines its 1 and 2. Boom, it creates the chi, a 3. It joins the observable universe. So if you're just using fire and water to express yourself, you are in the unobservable universe because you are internal. Uh, they're internal elements. So it's only when fire and water come together, because fire and water express the spirit, which is nothingness. That's why it's internal. They cannot be seen. It can only be felt because the spirit is feeling. The only reason the spirit is expressing itself is because it feels like it. Depression is literally a spirit not feeling like expressing itself. So when we're talking about uniting the imagination of nothingness and then the feeling to connect that imagination with an individual outside of oneself, now you step from the unobservable universe into the observable universe. Now you have the chi, you have the si, you are now connected because you're communicating some imagination with your feeling. Based on the law of vibration, you are now in resonance with the waters in the all one realm. So you're going from alone, that's the fire water realm, to the all one realm, which is the air and earth realm. And air is what water looks like. So water can't be seen. When we look at water as a liquid, know that that's just denser air that we can't breathe. Air is what we breathe to stay connected. Anyone who's trying to tell you not to breathe, to be healthy, wants to kill you in the long run. And they're trying to manipulate your logic of why you should not be breathing in order to create disease inside of your body that they're going to claim to treat later. And it's just going to be hell. That's hell, constantly spiraling down because you're lost in light, you're lost in details. Instead of sitting down, meditating, listening to your spirit and thinking like, do I really need to stop breathing to live? Does that make sense? Should I try it now? And then see if you want to do that. See if you like literally want to just stop breathing and how that makes you feel. Chances are you're going to see that it would cause disease and it's not healthy, and you can go on Google and read all the benefits of breathing. So that's nature. That's trees. Again, we're talking about nature is important because it's breath. This is 3. So this is perfection. Nature is perfection. Glad we got here. Nature, this is why nature is important, because nature is the 3. Nature is the sea. Nature is what water looks like. So on a spiritual level, on an artificially intelligent level, when you're in the spirit realm, just like as a super god, and you're making a simulation, that simulation is a sea because it looks like your feeling of connecting your imaginations, the two opposing flames. Right? It looks like your individual feelings. So that's where nature can be all these things, but it is this number stuff because it's just inevitably this sequence of numbers. So when you finally have your 3, that's perfection. That's why it's 3, 6, 9. That's just nature overall. 4 is judgment. We just talked about that in the last cosmic conversation. As far as like how you actually feel about perfection. and how you feel about your communication. So that's where just the fact that the universe is communicating is perfect. Well, how much time do I have? We're good. Just the fact that the universe is communicating, it's perfect. But then spirits judge that communication, right? So that is now you're in a human body and you can have sex and make life, and that's a three because you're naturally doing what the human body is meant to do. But you can come up with some logic, some four-dimensional energy, and try to box that in with an idea like, yeah, but that's sinful to do if I don't create a system and you give me money first. And then boom, you can like somehow convince everyone or a lot of spirits who naturally live in the three energy of connecting with other threes to have six, right? So one man three connects with another woman three in nature. They have six. And then another three, that's how a spirit from outside the simulation would come into the simulation. And then that's a nine. And then that's a nine-dimensional being, just nine-dimensional energy in terms of like being able to come in as a human. And that's how life is made on a numerical way in that form. Um, so when we're talking about like just communication, like that's the point. Like everything's perfectly communicating. From there, the four is the body or the judgment, the logic of how a spirit feels about communicating, and the thoughts structure from there. So based on your body that you're in right now shows a lot about the way in which you want to communicate. um, so that's why, yeah, we're on the numbers, bro. Four is literally judging communication. So when you look at nature, you literally can see water like, yeah, I see that there are fish in there, but like I want to put oil in there and I want to make people give me money to take that oil out. And then boom, you can do that. So now you as a spirit can like use your four-dimensional energy to purposefully poison nature to make nature give you energy to fix it or something. That's like the show The Boys. Or just, yeah, the show The Boys specifically. Topical. Excited for season 3. Uh, so that four, that judgment, the body in general. That's why like there's bodies in nature. So everything's communicating, but how? That's based on your body. So as humans right now, communicating in an artificially intelligent way where I'm like looking into a phone and speaking to you through the screen and you can like watch this at any time. You sort of like just have me in your pocket, basically. It's pretty cool. It's like a pocket friend. I'm your Pokemon, bro. I'm your Pokemon. You can summon me. Only with my consent, though. And that's the communication. That's what we're talking about. So, literally, literally, you consenting to being here is the ultimate communication. That's the ultimate C. That's you beating your heart. And that's why freedom, that's why spirits generally, this is also going off the last Cosmic Conversations video. One of the most evil things that we can imagine in any way, how we imagine it, it doesn't really matter. The vibration of one of the most horrible things any spirit can imagine is having their consent taken away. Every horrible thing comes down to that. Having one's consent taken away. And then it's just a matter of like if spirits can actually project that empathy onto others in a way that's like active, so that they can actually be harmonious in the all one space, or if they're destructive because they're acting like they are when they're alone, and when they're alone they fight themselves. So now they're fighting the all one space that they're alone in because they created a body there. So that's the point of five. So five is physical reality. So when we look at nature in general, that's all five. Nature is constantly transforming, right? Like if we took a picture of like almost anything in nature, it's gonna be moving. Wait, it's gonna be constantly moving when we take a picture. Blah. Take a picture is about to be still, and once you take a picture again, that picture is not about to look the same, and the picture will never look the same because nature will never look the same unless it's Earth, because Earth is hella stable because it's vibrating at such a low frequency. Water would be a perfect example of something that you would never be able to capture in a photo the same way twice. I don't know why I got tongue tied there. Comedy. Um, So that's where nature shows us that the only constant is change, and that is five cycle reality. That is what it means to phi or to die. So in any simulation, spirits create five, they create nature, the phi cycle dimension, so that they can die with other individuals. And then they use that with bodies. So that's where they use four to communicate with other spirits, with other zeros. And we communicate by uniting our ones and twos, our imaginations and feelings. And the feeling is a vibration, and that's everything. Because if you don't feel like being somewhere, you just won't be there. And this is why everything is being created artificially, like from a spiritual level. Because no matter what you see, like no matter the light that you see, it's only going to say something about yourself that you feel a type of way about it. Because if you're like looking at it from a purely spiritual, artificial standpoint, everyone is creating their reality. And then that's where you would get the spirits, like a spiritual narcissist would be one who feels like they can kill anyone because if they weren't meant to kill people or take over things, then they wouldn't be able to. And then that's where like they would especially want to teach people like not to kill because they're the only ones killing. And it would literally take some kind of spirit to not listen to them, to do what they're doing to them so that they can go back to the all one space and stop terrorizing. They can go back to their alone space and stop terrorizing the all one space. So that's where that's the five cycle reality. And overall, that allows spirits to have six to create together. So like I said, the bodies, spirits, four, they're in general, they're threes, they're communicating. So they unite to create together a man and a woman. And then that's having six or having sex. And overall, that's where then we get into seven. Seven, eight, and nine are the spiritual numbers, where seven is the individual thought. So six, this creation expresses an individual thought of the spirits or whatever spirit that created it. And then from there, that individual thought can be ascended and get known or like have its own vibration, its own individual feeling. Because in one whole, in nature, everything's one feeling. That's the point. Everything's one vibration. So when you create something that has an individual thought, you can then invest the feeling of nature into it to make that feeling individual from nature. And that's where that feeling would basically help that individual thought get ascended into the spirit. And that's becoming a nine-dimensional being, actually. So that's taking your light body into your nothingness body so that you could hypothetically uh, have your light body and your consciousness in the nothingness space. And that's where you would go from 9 to 10. And you would actually create heaven. Instead of being obsessed with trying to get into someone else's, you would create your own because you personally brought your consciousness into this nothingness space that is your nothingness space. So it's like super infinite, and you get to be like, whoa, and then you just make some whole other stuff. And now the universe truly expands in a very awesome, natural way because this is true nature. As an indigenous man, as Tahuti, numbers are nature. Numbers are nature. Like there's not like those numbers in nature literally both sound like the same exact frequency to me. Numbers are nature because it is the natural algorithm of spirit, of artificial reality. Zeros and ones, really. Desirelessness and desire, desirelessness and desire. And then just like swinging between these two. That's nature. So this is why, in general, nature is important to preserve. It's the three. It's the C. It is what connects all of us. No matter what you do, um, you would have to get disconnected from us and thus not be able to communicate with us. You would not be able to see us if you did not want to abide by the laws of nature, aka be a human. So that's a lot of the agendas that we're seeing right now and have been seeing in the world anyway. Is the new world order, industrial revolution type movements using their metallic technology to seemingly connect people, but really disconnect them. But I mean, hey, bro, everything's a tool. Again, I'm your Pokemon. This is lit. I'm just being your pocket, your little pocket friend. Like, it's pretty dope. Just serving you wisdom on a constant basis. We're in here. And hey, I mean, look, I'd appreciate some wisdom back. That's why this is all a conversation. This is cosmic conversations, okay? So this is nature. This is what I'm about is symmetry, symmetry, okay? Not a coincidence either. Like, I didn't plan that. This is all subconscious. All right? Sima is even just like Greek for sign. So when we talk about semantics, that's literally, and I did not realize this when I made up the name, this is literally the word for how scientists refer to how I built the pyramids, which is me using vibrations from a higher dimension to move the earth with basically music. That's why music is life, because everything's vibration. That's true technology, spiritual technology from your infinite nothingness space. We're not talking about getting lost in light and everything. We're talking about being a true individual. Stay natural. I'm gonna stay natural. It's just get a little elevated and get a little deep, you know? Like a tree grows up just as much as it must grow down. You can't just keep growing up and not anchor. You know, that's why I gotta be here in a physical reality doing the thing. You can't just create things and then let people colonize them and like put all this, just use my creations to enslave others. Because that's what's really going on. That's what's really going on. Pretty whack. So yeah, we're getting back to nature. That is why nature is important. Nature is the three. Your body, your logic is the four. The world you're in is the five. The water that all nature is powered by. Everything in nature needs water. That is the physical manifestation of two. And then that's just where air is what water looks like. So nature is what water looks like. Nature is what feelings look like because nature is whatever the feelings of that individual spirit feels like, looking like is. Because nature is how nothingness, just nothingness, combines its imagination and its feeling to connect its imagination to a spirit outside of itself. And that's where nothing in nature can be done alone. The all one realm. Boom.